A cash flow. If you have nothing else, then have an accurate and regularly updated cash flow for at least 12 months into the future. And remember, a cash flow is not a budget. Too often people confuse the two. A cash flow will tell you now and in the future if and when you may be going to have a cash problem, so that you know and can take action to deal with this. Most organisations and companies go bankrupt because they simply run out of cash, usually due to poor financial planning, management and information. A cash flow will tell you if and when you can pay your expenses and bills, how much you can afford to spend in all areas, in the short and also the mid-term, and most importantly, when you can spend it. Also, if you may need a temporary loan or an overdraft facility now or at some time in the future. For small to medium-sized organisations, the cash flow should be made and updated on a monthly basis. For large-scale organisations or for those that are in critical financial difficulties, it should be weekly. My top tip number 1, to ensure your survival, a cash flow is essential. The one thing that is a certainty in the current situation we all find ourselves in is that nothing is certain and that everything can and will change. So how the hell do we deal with this? What we can do is model different, most likely scenarios from best to worst case, and then plan what we will do for each of them, financially and otherwise. Future scenario and risk management planning is essential if you want to have some control over your own situation, rather than just constantly be reacting to the effects the virus is having on your organisation and your work. And this planning needs to be both long-term and strategic. My advice will be to plan to at least until this time next year and probably longer. And there are 2 plans you will need, in my view. One to deal with the short-term, more immediate issues and the situation you are now dealing with. This, for example, could be up to the end of the summer. And then you should create a second, more strategic and longer-term plan from the autumn onwards, up until at least next summer and ideally much longer. By doing all this, you would have a robust plan that includes a financial strategy, takes into account the most likely scenarios you could face over the next 12 months, and identifies the key risks and what you will do to mitigate them if they occur. And if you also involve all of your team in the process, it should help them to feel more positive and less anxious about the future, and that you are being proactive about reimagining, investing in, and moving your organisation forward. So, my top tip number 2, plan, identify key risks, and be strategic. Again, none of us know what the future will hold and how things may change, and maybe permanently so. But if you think that everything will just return to how it was 5 months ago, you are in danger of trying to make reality conform to your expectations rather than seeing what is actually there. In the sport of orienteering, they call this bending the map. Admitting that the past you were maybe very comfortable in may be lost forever is difficult. There are usually 5 stages that a person goes through when they encounter this situation: denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and then finally acceptance. In the future, we could all need to develop new financial models of how our work is paid for and funded. For example, we may have to consider collaborating and working in partnership with other organisations to achieve economies of scale, to spread risks, and to share resources. In the mid to long term, if governmental arts and cultural budgets are reduced due to the economic impacts and consequences of the virus, we may need to diversify our income streams by developing new activities, new funding strategies, new structures, and new ways of working. This may require us to not only be creative with our finances, but also to start thinking about becoming more flexible, nimble, and considering some out-of-the-box ideas that a year ago we would not even have ever imagined considering or contemplating. We will need to be brave and take some calculated risks. Like it or not, we must make a new mental map of where we are now, not where we wish we were. It's not about helpless resignation, but rather a pragmatic acceptance of and even wonder at the world and new reality in which we find ourselves. This is essential if we are to thrive rather than just survive. And my top tip number 3, accept your new reality, collaborate and embrace change.